Thunder echoed through the courts of eternity, rumbling like distant mountains splitting apart. And there, in that trembling silence, John heard the voice speak again, ancient, deep as the sea, yet gentle as morning light. "Come, and I will show you what must soon take place." John's spirit was carried higher still, beyond the river of life, beyond the brilliance of the city. He felt as if time itself loosened its grip, and what he beheld next could not be counted in years or days. A vast plain stretched before him, as far as any eye could see, shimmering with a strange, shifting light. At its center stood a figure mighty and bright, holding a rod of iron. Around the figure gathered multitudes beyond number, from every land and language under the sun. And then a scroll appeared again, hovering above them, its 7 seals now broken, revealing words of judgment and mercy written within and without. John's heart trembled, for he knew the day of reckoning had come. Suddenly, the light of heaven seemed to dim, and shadows crept across the plain. The figure lifted the rod, and at that command 4 riders emerged from the darkness, the same that John had glimpsed before. The first rider, crowned and astride a white horse, went forth conquering and to conquer. The second, on a fiery red horse, carried a great sword, and peace was taken from the earth. The third, black horse and rider, held scales in hand, and famine's whisper filled the air. The fourth, pale as death itself, followed by the grave. John watched in horror and sorrow, yet even then he saw in the distance a multitude clothed in white, who had come out of the great tribulation, their robes washed in the blood of the Lamb. They stood, unharmed by the rider's wrath, singing praises that rose above the cries of the earth. And as they sang, a new vision unfolded. John saw the heavens rolled back like a scroll, and a great sign appeared. A woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars upon her head. She cried out in labor, and before her stood a great red dragon, ready to devour the child she would bear. But the child was caught up to God and to his throne, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where God had prepared a place for her. War broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, who was cast down to the earth, his rage burning hotter than ever. John's spirit quaked, seeing the dragon wage war against the saints, yet failing to overcome them, for they conquered by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. Then a mighty angel appeared, robed in a cloud, with a rainbow above his head, his face shining like the sun. 1 foot stood upon the sea and 1 upon the land. In his hand a little scroll lay open. The angel cried out with a voice like a roaring lion, and 7 thunders answered back. John moved to write what the thunders had spoken, but a voice from heaven said, "Seal up what the 7 thunders have said, and do not write it down." With trembling hands, John took the little scroll from the angel and ate it, sweet as honey upon his lips, yet bitter in his stomach. Then came another vision. 2 witnesses, clothed in sackcloth, prophesying for many days. Fire came from their mouths to devour their enemies. Yet at the appointed time they fell, and the world rejoiced over their death. But after 3.5 days, the breath of life entered them, and they stood on their feet. Great fear fell on those who saw them, and a voice from heaven called them to ascend. They rose, and a great earthquake shook the city. John's spirit was weary, yet the visions did not cease. Next he saw a beast rising from the sea, with 10 horns and 7 heads, receiving power from the dragon. All the earth marveled and worshipped the beast, whose mouth uttered blasphemies against God. Then another beast rose from the earth, with 2 horns like a lamb, but speaking like a dragon. It performed great signs, deceiving many, and made the earth worship the first beast. It caused all, small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark on their right hand or forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless they bore the mark, the number of its name. Yet even here John saw hope. He beheld the Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 who had his Father's name written on their foreheads. They sang a new song, a song that no one else could learn. Then came an angel flying in mid-heaven, proclaiming the eternal gospel to every nation, tribe, language, and people. Fear God and give him glory, for the hour of his judgment has come. Another angel followed, crying, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great." And a third warned all who worship the beast, "They will drink of the wine of God's wrath, Then John saw one like the Son of Man, crowned with gold, seated on a cloud, holding a sharp sickle. At the angel's call, he swung his sickle, and the harvest of the earth was gathered. Another angel gathered the grapes of wrath into the great winepress of God, and the blood flowed. Yet beyond judgment, John's spirit was lifted to see a sea of glass mingled with fire. Those who had conquered the beast stood beside it, holding harps of God, singing the song of Moses and of the Lamb. Great and marvelous are your deeds, Lord God Almighty. Just and true are your ways, King of the nations. Then the temple in heaven opened, and from it emerged 7 angels with 7 golden bowls filled with the wrath of God. They poured them out upon the earth, sores, blood in rivers and seas, scorching sun, darkness, and the shaking of kingdoms. Yet hearts grew harder, and few repented. John's vision turned to a woman clothed in purple and scarlet, seated upon a beast, a golden cup in her hand full of abominations. Written on her forehead was a mystery: Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of earth's abominations. He saw her fall in a single hour, her wealth consumed by fire. Kings and merchants wept at her ruin, but heaven rejoiced, saying, "Rejoice over her, O heaven, saints and apostles and prophets, for God has judged her for you." Then John beheld the heavens opened, and behold, a white horse. And he who sat upon it was called Faithful and True. His eyes were like blazing fire, and on his head were many crowns. The armies of heaven followed him, clothed in fine linen, white and pure. A sharp sword came from his mouth, and with it he struck down the nations. The beast and the kings of the earth gathered to make war against him, but they were seized and thrown alive into the lake of fire. Satan himself was bound for 1,000 years. John saw thrones, and judgment was given. The souls of those who had been beheaded for their testimony came to life and reigned with Christ. When the 1,000 years ended, Satan was released for a short time, deceiving the nations once more. But fire came down from heaven and consumed them. Then John saw a great white throne, and him who sat upon it. Earth and heaven fled from his presence. The dead, great and small, stood before the throne, and books were opened. Another book was opened, the book of life. The dead were judged according to what was written, and anyone not found in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Yet even this was not the end. John saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. And then, descending out of heaven from God, the holy city, the new Jerusalem, shining like jasper, pure as crystal, a loud voice declared, "Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And he himself will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There would be no more death, nor mourning, nor crying, nor pain, for the former things had passed away." John's spirit trembled with hope beyond words. But just as he reached to behold more, the vision blurred. A final voice spoke, gentle yet firm. "Seal not the words of this prophecy, for the time is near." And the vision faded, leaving the question hanging in the air. When the Lamb returns in glory, will we be ready? Comment below, like, and subscribe as we journey even deeper. Shalom.